yours. Flow like a stream.
Is the microphone good, Aaron?
Is the mic good?
Lower. Good.
How's that? That's good? All right. Now all I need is a pipe and some slippers. I'll pull out a big book and say, story time with Declan. I'm going to move this to the side a little bit. Thank you all for coming. It's good to see all these familiar faces. It makes me feel more comfortable. I didn't see you come in. Thank you, Peter, for having me speak. There aren't many churches that would invite a transgender person to speak. Spiritus is one of those. Praise be to God. All right, let me start. If I can open it's going to keep closing. I'm going to keep touching it. I am a storyteller. My beloved is the homilist. So, my name is Declan. My pronouns are he and him. I titled my ponderings, The Secluded Place, the Closets, and God. Let me start with my beloved. If you're lucky, you have somebody in your life that helps you be more who you are. That is God's watering can to help you blossom. And my beloved is that for me. We met 16, 17 years ago at TCC, a church over in Irondequoit. She was very active on the Rector's Council, teaching, and I just wanted to enter in. I was in throes of a marriage that was falling apart, and so was she. So I went to every Bible study I could go to, and I entered into the community to soon be kicked out because of a rumor that we were a couple. So I love God with all my heart, all my being, and this was extremely painful to me. Shortly after that, so this is a journey. I think it's a circle. TCC to Spiritus is a circle for me, a healing circle. We moved to Massachusetts, where I went to therapy, probably because of getting kicked out of a church, but also I grew up in quite a conservative evangelical church, and to be queer, I thought I was going to go to hell. But it didn't make any sense because this person was the most lovely human being I'd ever met, and I loved her with all of my being. So the therapist says, well, I don't know what's happening, but if you need a label, you can pick one. It doesn't matter. And her other advice was, I have a church for you. So she sent us to an Episcopal church where we could receive the Eucharist, where we were accepted, where we were shortly after that married. Going to the Episcopal church and the therapy led me to researching. I had to figure out if this really was okay with God that I was gay. So this was my first coming out of a closet, really. And I read Matthew Vines and Gene Robinson and Peter Gomes and everyone that was out at the time, which wasn't very many. Meanwhile, my beloved is not reading anyone, but she's writing. And she wrote her Where True Love Is devotional because she's hearing from God what needs to be said to other people. Where I'm researching and saying, help me, God, I'm panicking here. Am I still loved by you? And during that time, I found myself deciding that I really had to advocate in a loving way for people that were hurt by churches. And I knew that this God created me, and I knew this God created this grand love that I had for my beloved. So I decided to, when she's writing her book, to start a platform called Where True Love Is, which at the time I had to beg, borrow, and steal to get anybody to like it. I mean, probably all my family did, and now they're like, oh, what did we do? This is, but so now we are at 800,000 plus. We reach 9 million people a week, and many people tell me that they did not commit suicide because of something we wrote or something in Suzanne's book, that they could hold on because they knew that God must love them, because we're saying it, we're giving facts, we're sharing churches they can go to. So, that became a call to me, and this advocacy and this sharing of love because of how much pain I felt. So shortly after that, Suzanne has always been really good, and I have it, at going with the flow. What do we see needed? And we started seeing that transgender people, non-binary people, genderqueer, fluid people were struggling. We're struggling in church and community, and she writes Transfigured, which I'm going to hold this book up, and this is not a sales pitch, but this was a life preserver. This saved my life. She probably doesn't even know how much. But when I read this book for probably the fourth time, I said to myself, this is for me. You know, and the whole time I've been reading it, I was thinking, Transfigured, well, isn't that nice that you wrote that for all those people? You're going to help all those people. That's a great book. And I read it and I shared it. And then one time I read it and it just soaked into my being. And it was God saying, I made you who you are. I made you transgender. I love you and it's good. It's more than okay. It's good. And when I read it, I knew what I had to do. I knew what I was safe to do and I knew what I was created to do. And this is where I'm going to read to you the 6th verse again. And I hope that this soaks into you because this spoke to me. Find a quiet, secluded place so you won't be tempted to role play before God. Just be there as simply and honestly as you can manage. The focus will shift from you to God, and you will begin to sense His grace. And that's what happened to me. But, as some of you know who know me, it happened to me in a bathtub. I often ponder God where water is involved, and the bathtub is a place I can kind of get away. And I'm in the bathtub, and I'm going, wow, I'm transgender. I'm transgender. What do I do with that? I called Beloved into the bathroom, and I said, I think I'm transgender. And she said, I know. So the truth is, everybody, I am transgender. My body never lined up with my being. It's starting to now, thanks to testosterone and acceptance and love from family and friends. I was assigned female at birth. I was named and raised female. So I had 59 years of role playing. And I probably could have won an award, though some people might disagree. My beloved always said, I can't believe you wore those clothes from C.J. Banks and Lane Bryant, but I did. I thought it worked. I don't think it worked so good. So being Diane, that is my name from the past, which is even hard for me to say, was very much role-playing, gender role-playing. And gender role-playing is kind of a closet. We're talking about a lot of closets and secluded places here. And I call it the California closet of my life. And that would have been Lane Bryant clothes, Mary Kay, probably a plaque that said Proverbs 31 wife. I mean, move over, Mrs. Doubtfire, you had nothing over me. So I just want to tell you and just think about this in simple terms, that everybody has a gender identity, everyone. Most people's gender identity matches their sex at birth. So now I want to do a little thing with you. Suzanne and I call this imagiplation. I even think you made the name up. Close your eyes or your mind's eyes for a moment and imagine, because you can't imagine being transgender, but try a little bit. Imagine waking up in the opposite body. And when you wake up and you tell people there's something wrong here, this is off, people say to you, oh, you're a pedophile. You're not of God, you're a sinner. This is wrong, you're lying. This isn't who you are. What do you do with that? Transgender people risk discrimination and harassment when they tell other people who they really are. It really makes no sense. It's very simple. It's very simple. The shell didn't match the inside. It's simple. But they try to make a big deal out of it. And transgender people fear not being accepted by friends, family, churches, communities, workplaces. I'll share a little bit of my story. I have a lot of kids. I have 5 kids, and I have 4 are accepting and loving and see me for who I am. My youngest is here. I'm so blessed. My April, who is my second child, hasn't talked to me in over 3 years because she thinks if she doesn't talk to me, I'll come around. I'll seek medical help and I'll come around. And I took away from her her mother, and she just won't talk to me. I can't reach her no matter what I do. It hurts my heart, but it can't stop me from being me. I am 64 years old, and I love her, but she's got to grow up a little bit. You know, she just has to. And despite those risks, despite those people who don't talk to you anymore, despite the emotional pain, living a life of being your true gender is very life affirming. it gives you life. You feel like not existing anymore, not going on until you can be you. And closets, as we see, are not a one-time thing. I came out as queer, lesbian, and then I came out as transgender. And I think we all can come out of these closets over and over again in our life, and we have different closets. Excuse me. I think the importance of LGBTQIA affirming community closets is becoming a bigger and bigger deal in our society, in our church. Zan and I are entering into Spiritus being like that for us, like it was on game night. Closets don't have to be secluded, hidden, scary places. And I think we should reclaim them in a positive way, make them safe, loving spaces. And I know that some people have to stay hidden for their safety, and I get that, and that's okay, and come out when you're ready. But if you're not ready, I hope you find places like Spiritus, where you can be fully yourself and experience joy. When I looked around the room at game night, people were smiling and laughing and high-fiving each other and playing games, and nobody was judging anybody. This was a closet of sorts, but a very affirming closet, and that's what Spiritus is to us. Now, I'm going to get back to the gospel a little bit because there's some parts in here that bother me. Like, I believe Christian nationalists are the modern-day hypocrites Jesus is speaking about in the gospel. I think that hatred spewed in God's name is very bad, and this is what Jesus is talking about. And in these situations, you don't see any fruit, and that's how you can tell that they're wrong. You can tell that they're bad places, they're bad things being said, there's no fruit. Embracing and affirming queer people and individuals results in good spiritual fruit. You see love and joy and peace and mental well-being. You see people grow and blossom into the all of what God created them to be. If you're transgender, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, you were created for more, not less. God loved you so much that they trusted you to blossom and to be a person that may be hated and vilified in the world, but you can change that world by being you, by showing that you're loving and caring, and it's not that big of a deal. So I think you're created for more, and I feel a burden and a blessing in that. I really do. I think that inclusion is very much aligned with God's love, and I believe Spiritus, I always say it wrong. I even put 2 O's on here, it didn't work. Spiritus does this very well. Peter and Lauren and Myra and Mike and everybody does this so well here. They accept people where they are, and they encourage them to be the more of what God created them to be. I'll leave you with a couple of thoughts I have, because I had told Suzanne if I go over 15 minutes, stand up and do the hokey pokey and turn yourself around and come, I'll get it. But that's why I'm on a rolly chair. Peter's just going to kick me over and we'll keep going, but I'm almost done. I want to tell you that I believe God meets you in secret, quiet places, the closets of your innermost being and the who of who you are. So I encourage you to be you, the uniquely wonderful you that your loving God created you to be, whether in your secret space or in your safe public space, wherever. Be so you, friends. Be so you that only God recognizes you. Nothing can be more pleasing to God than you being the all that they created you to be. So blossom, friends, blossom. Be you. And I'll leave you with this. This really sums me up pretty well. I believe in God, or what I call the divine love. My God is gender fluid and beyond any constraints that anyone tries to put on them, beyond all imagination in all ways, including gender. They are the love that I feel and the depths of my being. A being, my friends, that is transgender. Thank you for listening.
Amen.
We could, if they want to. Yeah.
So,
Thank you.
So I'll invite you to ask questions, but Declan, repeat the question into the microphone for the people that
Oh,
are
okay.
joining us online.
All right.
They won't know what we're talking about.
All right. Any questions?
So does anyone have a question about all this, or even want to share something? Or I know some of you have had similar experiences, or are close to loved ones who have gone through this.
My cousin just came out as female. She was born male, and my cousin, her dad, is not being very kind about the transition that she's taking. I just was wondering what I could do to support her.
Did that get picked up, Aaron? Do I need to repeat it?
You need to. So how can I support?
Okay, the question is how you support your cousin who came out MTF, right, male to female.
Do I talk to the dad?
That's a tough one because you could fuel the fire for them. In my opinion, you be that loving support and maybe help them find other things in the community that support them. There are statistical facts that one person supporting a transgender people saves them from committing suicide. So being that person is much more than you think. Convincing the father might not ever happen, but being that person is instrumental in their future and their safety. And the main thing we worry about with transgender people is severe depression and suicide. So if you're with that one person and you think that's not enough, you're wrong. That's a lot. That's a lot. So I think be that person for them and support them, and maybe you can come alongside them and talk to them about other avenues or support groups in wherever they live. Books that they can read, anything that you can suggest beyond the father, because you can't control the father. You know, you just love them bigger. We have to love louder than the hatred around us. Any other questions? Phil.
Thinking outside of the United States, places like China, Russia, India, where they have more traditional societies, isn't it going to be much worse for transgender people?
The question is pretty much about other societies and countries where it could be worse for transgender people. I think that there's a lot that you can Google on that. I don't have specifics, but I know a lot of people are leaving the United States because of the political climate here that are transgender. We decided to stick it out. We decided to stand up and fight for what we believe is right. It's a little bit scary, but there are countries where it's worse. But I can't state you exact facts, but I think you could Google it pretty easy and find that out. It's a scary world right now, and transgender is the attack of the hour. So, yeah. Do you have any information on that you know?
There is a lot of variance in India, in a lot of traditional cultures around the world. Non-binary, gender experience is revered. Like many two-spirit in American, Indian, Native American cultures, there's a variety of different understandings. In India, there's some Hindu understandings that are accepting. In a lot of cultures, people who are non-binary are seen as being more able to communicate with the spiritual world, which is non-binary. So there is a lot of variation, and there's a lot of problems with Western colonization going into some of these cultures that are squelching these beautiful indigenous understandings about gender. So, yeah.
Right. Anything else? I'm an open book.